Hello, Zuko here, and it is time for my July. Is July over? Where did this summer go? Okay, it's time for my July reading wrap-up. This is all of the books that I read in July. I need my iPad because that's where all my ratings are, and also I have one book that I don't physically own, but I've read it, and I wanted to mention it just in case. Also, if you're wondering why I am covered in glitter, my Instagram is always linked down below if you're curious about what I do when I'm not making booktube videos, because I am covered in glitter, and maybe that's weird. So the first book that I read this month was Bassett in the Night, a novel by Sarah Porter. This is a modern day fantasy, fantastical, I guess, urban fantasy retelling of an old Russian folklore myth, Vasilisa the Beautiful, I believe. Am I right? Yes, the original story is Vasilisa the Beautiful. This is kind of a story about the Baba Yaga and other things. I loved this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. If you really like Alice in Wonderland or Spirited Away, this has that same magical vibe where it's a world that you recognize but you don't. But it was so good. I loved this book. Please read it. I know a lot of people didn't like it, and I guess they don't like that kind of nonsense element of books, but I really do. So I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. Okay, now I don't have this book here. Here, if you can see this, I read I'm Still Here, Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness by Austin Channing Brown. This is a book I was reading in my attempts to learn more about anti-racism. This is written by a black woman about her experience as a black woman and kind of workplace discrimination, where they're no, we're diverse, we've hired a black woman. I don't know, I thought this book was really good. It's a fast read, but if you would like to start your journey to anti-racism, read that, and don't read White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo, I think. Don't read that. That's a white woman getting paid for talking about an experience she'll never have. She doesn't know what racism is. Don't read that. Don't read that book. Don't give her money. Give the money to black people who are telling you about their actual experiences with a real thing they've experienced, and not a white woman telling you what she thinks the experience is. Sorry, I'm gonna say it. Getting back to a less serious subject, I guess fiction, YA fiction, YA fantasy. I read the whole Cruel Prince trilogy by Holly Black. This is a book that follows Jude Duarte and her twin sister, as well as their other sister, where their parents are murdered because her older sister was half fae and her dad wanted her back, so he killed the family she was being raised with and took her and her 2 human sisters into the fairy world. These were great. I loved them. Nothing is loading for me right now, but I'm pretty sure I gave them all 5 stars because I loved them. I'm really big into fae stuff. I think it's great. I think Holly Black writes fairies and fae in a really neat way that I really enjoy and love. So I read these and I loved them. Okay, then I read The Hazelwood and The Night Country by Melissa Albert. I gave both of these 2 stars. So this book follows a girl named Alice as she's been kind of running from things her whole life, her and her mom, and has a grandmother who has written this book that her mom won't let her read and is really hard to find, about this place called the Hazelwood and these things that are happening in there. So she goes on a quest to kind of try to find her grandmother's estate after they got a letter saying her grandmother is dead. This is supposed to be a portal fantasy. I don't think the portal started until I don't know, here, let's say. It was 80% through, that's when it became a portal fantasy. I don't want that in a portal fantasy. I want a full-ass portal fantasy, not a 80% of the way through urban fantasy. Get this out of here. I didn't like these books. They weren't great. I love the covers. The covers are so pretty. Why couldn't they be as good inside? Next, I read The Devouring Grey by Christine Lynn Herman. This is a book about a little town that 100 years ago had 4 founders who stopped this monster, and each founder and their bloodline have a power that is needed to kind of protect the town specifically from this monster. It's kind of got Stranger Things vibes. I don't know, I thought this was pretty fun. I didn't love it, but there was so much queer representation, I feel like everyone was bi. It was great. I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars, and I bought the sequel, so I intend on continuing on. Next, I reread Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and then I read Hollow City, and Library of Souls, all by Ransom Riggs. This is the first trilogy in the Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children series. I gave like this whole series like 3 stars. I remember really enjoying the first book when I read it, like just the idea of like all the like portally things where the time loops every 24 hours. Like, I don't know. This was like kids with powers. That was fun. And then I read the second book and like it was fine. I didn't love. I get the appeal, and like it tried to have that like good nonsense kind of stuff that like I don't know. I feel like they were trying too hard to also be gritty while also doing the magically nonsense stuff. In the third book, I don't know. I didn't care anymore. Like I wanted to like them. I really did, but these weren't for me, and there was too much of a focus on this romance that I don't care about. Like, if you want to teenage romance, I'm just not here for. I know I liked The Cruel Prince, but like that whole like series was interesting. These just weren't, and there was a lot of like, oh no, I can't live without the girl, and I'm like, you've known each other for a month. I gotta go. Bye. Sorry. I also read Tales of the Peculiar. This is like a companion, like short story collection, kind of fantasy thing by Ransom Riggs that goes along with the original trilogy. I gave this also 3-star, but this was like, I enjoyed more than the book series. This is closer to a 3.5, but I didn't love it. I feel like it's got a cute cover, so that's fun, right? Yeah. Then I read Pan's Labyrinth, The Labyrinth of the Fawn by Guillermo del Toro and Cornelia Funk. I have not seen the movie for this, and I fully believe that the movie is a better way to ingest the story than reading this. This felt like kind of empty. That like it's beautiful, like those pages and stuff are really nice, but this felt like not enough to be a book, but I bet it makes a much better movie. I gave this like a 3 out of 5 stars, but it's like a low 3. Does it make any sense? I don't know. I wanted to love this. It's so pretty. It wasn't for me, unfortunately. Then I read The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I don't know how to explain this book. I'm not going to bother trying, but I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. It would have been a 5 out of 5 star, but I found the beginning kind of slow and boring, and I wasn't sure I was going to care about the book. I ended up really loving it, but I couldn't give it 5 stars knowing that at the beginning I was like, I don't know if I like this book for like the first, I don't know, 100 pages or something. But otherwise, this is a really good book. It's so beautiful. There's also like queer representation in there if you care at all. It was fun, and I really liked it. So I am glad I read it, and there was a hair in it. It's so pretty though. Wow. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then I read Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory Powers. I was really hoping I enjoyed this book because I read Wilder Girls and kind of hated it because it was not what I wanted it to be even remotely. And I kind of have you have 2 out of 3 chances to be an author I keep buying. So like there was already one strike. If I hated this, I was done buying Rory Powers for a long time until she wasn't such a new author. Or they. I'm not sure their pronouns. But this follows a girl named Margot as her and her mom have been living a very strange, secluded life. As she grew up, she didn't know any of her mom's family. She didn't know who her dad was. Like, she didn't know where she came from. And one day she stumbles across a phone number that is presumably for her family's farm that her mom grew up on. So she calls her grandmother. And yeah, it just kind of unravels a lot of mysteries from there. It was actually like a good book. I was thankful because I wanted to love Wilder Girls. Nope, hated Wilder Girls. It was bad. But I actually really enjoyed this book. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Akatawitch by Nnedi Okorafor. This is a book following a girl living in, I want to say Nigeria. Am I correct? Yes. She moved there from New York when she was 10-ish, I want to say. And she's finding out that she is like a leopard person or someone with magical powers. This was a really fun book, and I'm going to read the sequel as soon as my library gets it in so I can listen to it because it was like a really good audiobook. But like, look how pretty this cover is. Why couldn't they stay with these covers? I love them. Do I have the cover for like the second one? somewhere? No. Oh, I do! I have the cover for the second one, like, within reaching distance, because I thought I was going to have read the second one this month, but I didn't, because I don't have the audiobook. But, like, they changed these, and, like, this is fine, but this is so much more magical and pretty, and I love it. So I wish it was this cover was more like this cover, but I didn't read this, so I don't know why that's here. But I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, because I thought it was a really fun little fantasy book set in a setting that we don't get to read a lot of, because, like, I don't think I've read any books that take place in Nigeria, so this was fun. Then I read An Abundance of Catherines by John Green. This is a book about a guy who dates a bunch of Catherines, gets broken up by a Catherine on, like, the last day of high school, so, like, he's graduating, and then he and his best friend go on a road trip to the middle of fucking nowhere. This was fine. There was, like, a lot of, like, it didn't age well because they say the word retarded a lot, and it just rubs me the wrong way every time, and I'm like, could have not done that. Honestly, this was, like, a pretty mediocre book. It's fine, you know? Wasn't anything special. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And lastly for the month, I read Paper Towns, also by John Green. This is about a boy who falls in love with a manic pixie dream girl who disappears. I think everyone's already read this book. I hadn't. Now I've read all of John Green's books because I'm so special. Except, like, Will Grayson, and I feel like he did a short story in that Let It Snow book. Anyway, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. This was fine. It's kind of fun. They also said retarded a lot, but a lot less. So that was, like, better, but still doesn't age well. This book was fine. 3 out of 5 stars. I don't know. John Green's books are, like, fun, but I don't ever, like, adore them, you know? So it was fine. I'm also currently reading Fell the Dark. I'm only, like, 15% in. I feel like I'm, like, 50 pages into this book. This is by Caleb Rohrig. This book is a vampire book in the year of our Lord. I don't know if it's the year of our Lord. This year is the worst. It is in the year of 2020. We got a vampire book with, like, diverse vampires. Like, I think this is a queer vampire book. So I'm in the middle of reading this, kind of. I'm in the beginning of reading this. I'm also reading something, Stars and Teeth. What am I reading? I'm also currently reading All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. Yes, I'm currently reading All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. I'm listening to that audiobook, but I'm going slowly because I'm not in a big audio mood right now. But that's going fine. So those will be in my next month's wrap-up if you're interested. Again, my Instagram, if you want to know why I am covered in glitter, is linked down below. And yeah, I don't know when those pictures will be posted, by the way. But if you want to know what I'm up to when I'm not here, which is most of the time, I am more active on Instagram. So again, link down below. So is my Goodreads. And yeah, I will see you whenever I do my next video. Let me know down below what books you read this month, what you loved. Tell me a book that you loved this month, if you're still here. And yeah, I want to know why, because clearly I need more books to read. I don't, but I love knowing what books other people love. So yeah, let me know what you have read recently that you've loved down below, and I will see you whenever I do my next video. Why don't I look at the ratings beforehand? I made a bad choice. Nah.